everybody, it's me, Vic. Today I wanted to talk about Elgato's Wave Next launch. I've been using the Wave XLR MK.2 for several months, as well as the Wavelink 3.0 beta before they launched Wavelink 3.0, and they've done several updates, to make things fixable. I know a lot of people have had different issues, and not everybody has the same issues, so, they're working on those things as you report them in their mega thread. But also I wanted to do a special shout out to Elgato. Thank you for this, because this Wave Next t-shirt is freaking awesome. It's so comfy. Thank you. But I wanted to go ahead and get started on this because it's been long overdue that I've been wanting to talk about this, and I think the most important function or feature, I should say, with the Wave Next was the zero latency. That is probably the biggest thing that has been going on with this particular product is zero latency. For people who are doing content creation or podcasting, right, I think that comes in very important because you're able to hear things and hear yourself at the same time, real time, without any delay. I don't know about you all, but if I were to hear myself talk and I hear like a 1.5 or 2.5 second delay, it's gonna throw me off, and I'm gonna pause and be like, I need to wait till I hear what I hear and then carry on. So that's a really big emphasis on this product, is zero latency. Now, the other things that I want to talk about are listening devices. These are the Shure SE215. They're in-ear monitors, which are IEMs. They come with the whole cable. It's an aux cable, etc. Right? Like it's long, it's clear. I went with the clear one because I thought it looked cool. Everybody, when I'm live streaming, has asked me what's in my ears. It's the Shure 215s. They're not gaming IEMs. Since buying this, because this was recommended by an audio engineer, really for sound, right? Most people use it for music. It's an audio listening device. So the in-ear monitors really help, so that way I don't have big old cans on my ears, because when I was live streaming, I was using my Corsair Virtuoso XT, and this thing actually has a detachable microphone right here. I use it for work now, right? I love this headset for work. It's awesome. It's wireless. I can charge it. It's awesome. But those things kind of weigh you down when you're live streaming. And so that's why I went with these in-ear monitors, and I love them, right? They have the little phone tips, and it's great. The issue that I didn't realize was some people were saying they were hearing hissing sounds and stuff when they were using their own IEMs. And I guess I should probably mention that if your in-ear monitors, you're probably never going to see them hit anywhere near 250, let alone above 250 on ohms. You're gonna turn off high power mode, and that hissing should go away, just like that. It should, because IEMs aren't really gonna be high powered, depending on how many drivers they have in those things. It's just not something that's gonna be ideal to turn on high power mode. Now, cans, or, high fidelity headphones, like the Beyerdynamic DT990, then you would be turning on high power mode, because there's different iterations of ohms. This one is actually 600 ohms. It's open back. Most people prefer closed back when they're doing anything with high fidelity, because they don't want any kind of other noise to bleed into it. Mine are open back because that's all they have with 600 ohms, and let me tell you, it's awesome. But I also can hear like the door knock in case my roommate is coming in or something. So I really bought them for editing, so I could hear like the clicks, the pops, anything that I might need to really like fine tune and remove it from my audio. So it's really cool. I love using the high powered mode for that reason. Those are actually plugged into the back of my Wave XLR. So I'm gonna leave that on high power mode, but when I'm live streaming, I turn it off and I use these, and yeah, they're great. Now, since making this video, I can tell you what came to market recently are gaming IEMs. I have not been able to get my hands on any of them, and some of them are really expensive. So like funding wise, I can't afford to go and just like buy every single headset and try them. But a lot of people say they're great for gaming and that the games sound amazing. So maybe that might be something to try out in the future. But I hope if you did buy a gaming IEM, that you do know that you don't need high power mode on, because they're probably not going to be with the drivers that are going to be 250 to 600 ohms. They're usually under that, so you're more than likely going to turn that off and the hissing goes away and it's going to sound great. Direct monitoring is going to be something that most people want to hear how they sound, right? And direct monitoring isn't going to give you anything with VSTs, so just keep that in mind. I turn that off because I want to hear what it sounds like with the VST, and then I turn it on when I don't want to hear what I sound like with the VST in case there's something I need to change. But it also helps you gauge the room, right? Like, where do you need to maybe put something to dampen the bouncing sound of audio, right? Because you could get an echoey sound depending on how your microphone is set up and what microphone you're using. If you're not using a Wave XLR MK.2 or any Wave product, but you're using Wavelength 3.0, there are some VSTs that are for sale from Elgato, right? And we're going to actually talk about the wave effects and DSPs here in a few minutes, but Voice Focus is actually a VST that Elgato sells separately. We can see their little video playing here. I had it prepared. Let's go to the marketplace. That's going to be the Wavelink plugin if you have a Stream Deck Plus, a Stream Deck Plus XL, or a regular Stream Deck or a Stream Deck XL. I'm using a Stream Deck Plus XL for controlling all of my audio, and it's amazing. But the Voice Focus, right? There's actually two versions of it. One is for Windows and the other is for Mac OS. So just make sure that you're clicking the drop-down box before you buy, so you don't accidentally buy the wrong one. And then you're able to use it on your particular microphone if you're wanting something that's just going to target just for Voice Focus, and that might help you. That's pretty awesome. So when it comes to the Wave XLR MK.2, right? Where I was talking about how this emphasis on this product is zero latency. When I say zero latency, I mean I can use all of these DSP effects right here. I can turn this off and just listen to all of this right here with zero latency, which is freaking awesome. I mean, I haven't had any issues with it. I know some people, they get zero latency once they start introducing certain things like this, where they hear like maybe 1.5 or 2.5 on the VST, but I only tested to hear what it sounds like. Not that I would use this in my stream. I might every now and then to like have fun with my viewers, but if I'm making content, I'm never gonna use any of that. It's more so when I'm live. And then of course there's the settings. You can change the LED, you can change the brightness, you can change the name of your microphone if you wanted. And I think that's really cool. When it comes to the VST effects, the DSP here on board with the Wave FX chip inside, it's amazing because like you can come in here, you can turn on low cut filter, you can change your expander to be whatever you need it to be. I'm sorry, I had to make sure my microphone wasn't muted because the last time that I did the video, it muted the mic and I was worried. You don't need compressor if you're doing voice tune. However, I have my compressor set up a specific way. And then of course there's the EQ as well, right? And you can tweak that to your liking. There's only four bands that you can use on there, so make sure that you're wanting to have it a specific way when you're doing so, and play around with it, right? That's how you're gonna get it to be what you need it to be. You could turn on Voice Focus if you need it, right? Like if you have loud PC fans or something that's towards the mic area. Although I do recommend keeping your mic away from any noises so that way it doesn't come into the mic. And of course, audio treatments such as panels, certain audio panels that go on your wall or whatever. Some of them come in really cool art form, by the way, and that's going to make sure that the audio isn't going to sound echoey. Now, the other thing is when you're in your mixes, right? I have 3 mixes because I only need 3 right now. The max you can do is 5, and I know I've talked about this in another video, but I want to emphasize the importance of making sure that in your personal mix, you're not listening to yourself. You might probably want to route your microphone to the areas that you want people to hear you. But if you want to hear yourself, you're going to want to go to input and monitoring, and you're going to want to either turn on direct monitoring or self-monitoring. If you just want to hear yourself, move it all the way here. If you want to hear your audio on your PC as well, then you're going to probably put it somewhere in the middle. The volume, if you're doing self-monitoring, make sure that you dial it down to like 50 or 60%. You do not want to hurt your ears because it will come in really loud, especially if you're wearing headphones. That's probably the important thing to mention here. for listening to yourself. Clipguard 2.0, you can turn that on so like you'll never peak, right? Like if you get super excited and you're screaming into your microphone and you're having a hype moment, right? Like you're super excited, it's not gonna sound painfully loud in your audience's ears. So Clipguard is really great. The other thing is gain lock, right? I'm using a Wave XLR MK.2 paired with a Wave DX. However, I do have a Shure SM7B in the other room, and I can tell you every microphone is going to be a little different, as well as your surroundings in your room, right? So you would do auto adjust gain, and you would basically talk into the microphone the way that you need to, and it'll adjust it to the gain that you need that level of, and then you're good, right? And then from there, you're hearing either how loud you are, how low you are, what you might want to add with your onboard DSP effects. Now, I always say give it about, a minute for them to like retain what you just did. And then make sure that when you go back in there, it saves, for example, your EQ or whatever, right? Don't just close out the application. Give it a moment for it to like update all of that stuff. And then you should be good to go, right? So you can just go to input and monitoring and come here. Now, the one thing, and I sent a feature request on this, I would love for Stream Deck, the software, to actually have toggles for these and a slider for this. So that way I can say, you know what, I need to hear myself for this. I want to control it on that particular level with my Stream Deck. I would love that. I know there's another feature request that somebody was hinting at, and I thought it was a really cool idea, which was what VoiceMod does right now is you can actually record like really quick on the fly, like someone talking, whether it's your chat or yourself, and you can, basically troll them with their own voice and replay it. I think that's a really cool thing. I would love to see Elgato do something like that with Wavelink 3.0 and Stream Deck integration. That's pretty much the gist of what's going on with Wavelink 3.0, right? It's built from the ground up. It's brand new. You do have to be on Windows 11 if you're on Windows or Mac OS, right? I can tell you that it will not be on Windows 10. It will be on Windows 11. And you want to make sure that your PC is capable of upgrading to Windows 11 if you're wanting to use Wavelink 3.0. So if you have like an OG device, the OG device will work with Wavelink 1.0 and Wavelink 2.0 and Wavelink 3.0. But Wavelink 3.0 works with the Mark II devices. So just keep that in mind. I know I've talked about pretty much the things that I've noticed, what was going on here. A little pro tip for music people. Did you know that you can actually just EQ the music from the music channel instead of having to EQ it in the app? I wanted to point that out because I know you see the little squiggly line here, and I have 3 different EQs based off of the headphones and listening devices that I use. And speaking of the devices that I use, right? I love using these when I'm jamming out. They do sound a little flat, so that's another reason why I EQ'd the music channel, because when I'm listening to music, I'll usually wear the Biodynamic DT990s. But when I'm live streaming, I'm using this, so that's when high power mode is off. The Wave XLR Pro is pretty much going to do the same things, except that it'll be ideal for a dual PC setup or a podcaster because it has 2 XLR inputs, and I think that you can actually connect your capture card audio to it. I'm not sure yet because I don't have it, but when the second build is done, I'm going to be super excited about it. Thank you for watching.